People, I know I've gotten into the habit, and I like it, of starting off with a video, and I want to start off with this one, but I'm going to have to play this video and do what I do with my kids when we listen to Tom MacDonald in the car. I'm going to have to cough over certain words because I don't want to be a bad influence, because I know there are, what's the word? Influential. I know that I have some of my kids' friends who do watch the streams to expand their brains as opposed to rot them watching TikToks and whatever this is. People, is there an echo? There can't be an echo. Come on. Is there an echo? We'll see if there's an echo, but I'm not going to talk. How do I do this? How do I do this? Oh, I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna pull myself out, and then I'm gonna have to pause when Ron Pearlman goes from making a compelling argument to doing what, I mean, I don't care if Ron Pearlman thinks he's right. If he thinks that this comes off as right, or this comes off as anything less than unhinged, I've lost touch then with reality myself. Let's see if
Good morning, Governor DeSantis. Ron here.
No, I've got to do something. I've got to do it. I cannot watch this without commenting on it in real time to avoid the echo, people. Here's what we're going to do. Yes, they're my kids. They were $5. I don't know where my Cost Porta Pros are. Okay, this should eliminate the echo. And I mean, I just first here. Yeah. Let's start.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis.
Good morning.
Ron here.
Ron here. They're on a first name basis, and that the smirk is very curious.
Good morning, Governor DeSantis. Ron here.
Thought about this all night. He's thought about this presentation all night.
Don't say gay.
We're going to get to this factual error in a second. The premise on which this tirade is premised, is based, is flawed.
Don't say.
Passionate.
The first two words in a sentence spoken by a political leader of a state.
He's passionate. This is like Bill Murray in Lost in Translation. More passion.
In the United States of America, don't.
Emphasis there. He went from the United States to the United States of America.
Don't say. Don't fucking say.
Oopsie doodle. I got distracted by a chat. So
hey, you fucking.
No, boy. He uses the Yahtzee word.
Say.
First
Amendment.
He's right. I agree with him.
Read about it.
I think Ron DeSantis knows about it.
Then run for office.
He's already in office. It's too late to do that.
You piece of shit.
Excuse me. So that, those are the words of wisdom. Let's just go ahead and those are the words of wisdom from Ron Pearlman. I agree with him. First Amendment. Say. I mean, that's interesting, actually. Say is not First Amendment. Say is compelled speech. First Amendment is you should be free to speak without government sanctions, which incidentally, I can understand some people are saying that this bill prohibits freedom of speech in that it does provide for sanctions in the event that certain subject matter is taught to kindergartners to grade 12ers. That is Ron Pearlman. Now, I just got to say that the chat that distracted me was this. Daniel, Viva, my mom wants you to cut your hair, please. Dude, I thought that was my brother, because my brother's name is Daniel, and I thought he was saying, Dave, Viva, your mom wants you to cut your hair, because my mother wants me to cut my hair. And she keeps saying, I see people in the chat saying that you should cut your hair. Mom, I think you're misunderstanding. People in the chat, I'm going to run a poll. I'm going to run a poll when we get into this. Should I cut my hair? The answer is no. The answer is no, Mom. We shall let the fro grow. Ron Pearlman. Oh, this is good. Some might even say Ron clutching pearls Pearlman. I stole your joke and made it better. The don't say part. It has become... Give liberal politicians flack, judge them as you may. One thing that a lot of people seem to be in agreement on, they are good at marketing and they are good at messaging. And I say this, I don't consider myself left or right. I can just observe that at least in the United States, Democrats are far better at messaging than Republicans. And they've run with this "Don't Say Gay" bill, and they've labeled this Ron DeSantis Florida bill that just became law as the "Don't Say Gay" bill, as though the bill specifically says you cannot say gay. I had to look it up because I'm a schnook Canadian with dirt on my glasses. I'm a schnook Canadian, and I said I would find it offensive if any law said you could not speak about homosexuality in particular. I would find that offensive, morally and politically. If it said you can talk about heterosexuality, you can talk about sexuality, but you cannot talk about homosexuality, I would find that morally offensive, politically offensive. So I'm hearing what's going on in Canada, in the States, and I say, if the law says this, I'd find this curious. So I have to go look in it. Ron, I've got to get you out of the stream, man. Unless you want to come on one day and explain a little bit more eloquently, because I don't like swear words on my stream, because I know that younger people might be watching, even though I do swear myself from time to time when I enjoy a snifter of ported Christmas, or I stub my toe on a bike pump and crack my toe in half. True story. It actually healed broken. So my pinky toe, I can turn it a full 90 degrees to the side because the bone broke and then healed broken. So what does this law say? And I'm going to take it from CBC News because they're good journalists. Excuse me. Just choked a little bit on some vomit there. StreamYard, we're in. Okay. Let's just go read what the bill says in terms of what it says and what it doesn't say. This is World News. "Don't Say Gay" bill becomes law in Florida, banning sexual orientation instruction from, I guess that's kindergarten to 3. And this was published March 28th. The law, which critics say marginalizes LGBTQ people, lets parents sue over violations. So, interesting phraseology. It bans sexual orientation instruction, which in my mind also includes heterosexuality. It's banning talk about what some people might think is too early for kindergartners to grade 3 years, maybe. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill on Monday that forbids instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity, which to me, reading this, means both heterosexual and homosexual and other. In kindergarten through grade 3, a policy that has drawn intense national security from critics who argue it marginalizes LGBTQ community, lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer people. The legislation is, okay, thus far, by the way, and you're not going to see anything different because the legislation, despite the branding, Nikki Fried, among others, I don't know why I still follow her. I wish Nikki might just block me the way Kathy Griffin did yesterday. But setting that aside, Nikki Fried, who's running for governor in Florida, but apparently has zero chance. And if anybody follows her inane Twitter feed, you'll see that there's good reason for that. It's almost a parody of a Twitter feed. And sometimes I don't know. Today, she tweeted out one-word tweet, gay. I understand the point. Some people might feel that sort of political exploitation of their class, of their group. Some people. If she just tweeted out one day any number of words that I think were identifying me by demographic, short, stubby, ugly, no, I might feel that she's exploiting my demographic for political gain. The legislation has pushed Florida and DeSantis, an ascending Republican and potential 2024 presidential candidate, to the forefront of the country's culture wars, which is very interesting because it is effectively a culture war. It's not a truth war. It's a culture war. With LGBTQ advocates, students, Democrats, the entertainment industry, and the White House denouncing what critics have called the "Don't Say Gay" bill. By the way, let me just get to the spoiler alert. There's nothing that says "Don't Say Gay" in it. It just says we're not going to teach sexual orientation, heterosexual and homosexual, to kids in kindergarten to grade 3. Agree with it or disagree with it. And not to straw man, I'll steel man. The argument is that heterosexuality, two-sex couples are so much the norm in everyday society that it goes without saying and therefore does not need to be addressed. Whereas kindergartners to grade 3ers who might be gender confused or sexual orientation confused, which I think already is probably none of the school's damn business. If there's that issue existing strictly between the parents and their kids in grade 3 or kindergarten. But the argument is going to be, we don't need to talk about heterosexual couples, mommy and daddy, the nuclear family, everybody knows about it. So it doesn't target heterosexual couples. It only targets other. That's the argument. I disagree with it. We will make sure that parents can send their kids to school to get an education, not an indoctrination, said DeSantis before he signed the bill into law. He and other speakers stood at a podium. Critics say the bill is so vaguely worded that speech could be muzzled throughout public schools. Well, if you can't teach them about sexual orientation, that is muzzling speech. The question is it so ambiguous that, which is the concern, if little Jimmy comes in and talks about his same-sex parents, and the teacher engages in conversation, what did your parents do over the weekend? Oh, when did they get married or whatever? That might contravene the law. And the concern is that kids with gay parents won't even be able to discuss it. Ambiguous laws are always a problem. And that's what the courts are there to adjudicate on if there's ever a problem. But the bill states a classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation, which includes both and all, by the way. Or all, I should say, or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with the state standards. That's the issue. What is appropriate for the age? What qualifies as discourse? Are they talking about gender identity or sexual orientation if a kid has trans parents? That's the issue. But one thing is for certain. When people have dumbed down the dispute to a trope, you are probably not getting a fair or accurate understanding of the actual issue. There's nothing in this legislation that says don't say gay. If anything, it says don't say sexual orientation. When you're talking to kindergartners, they don't need to know about the birds and the bees yet. They don't need to know about specific bees preferences or specific birds preferences. Whether or not birds can go with birds and bees can go. They don't need to know that. They're kindergartners through grade 3ers. And that's a discussion like religion, like politics, that should occur between parents and their kids regardless. So that's it. Laws, laws, laws. That's the don't say gay bill that Ron Pearlman thinks can possibly justify nothing less than a hate-filled diatribe, which throws out the Yahtzee word, the F word, and if I'm Ron DeSantis and I'm looking at that, I'm thinking he looks a little unhinged. I'm thinking Ron Pearlman looks a little unhinged there. And if they're in fact on a first name basis, maybe the way to express your disagreement is to have a discussion, a civil one at that, and not take to Twitter, where, other people have been banned for worse, Ron Pearlman. Other people have been banned for less, Ron Pearlman. Other people that you have had big, big issues with. And I suspect, I'm not sure, I couldn't find anything to confirm it, I suspect Ron Pearlman rejoiced when Donald Trump was banned from social media platforms. The man who says, say, First Amendment, this is America, the United States of America. I have no doubt, but I could not find anything to confirm it yet, that he reveled. He was probably speaking of animals and manure, he was probably happy as a dog rolling in raccoon poop when Donald Trump had his First Amendment rights stifled by the very same media that he's using to exercise his. Brad and Kyle bowling. I just got a notification. Let me just see here. This is maybe a shout out that they never wanted. Bowling's best get ready for last PBA major. Brad and Kyle, they're up to 121,000 subs. I had Brad and Kyle on the channel in the early days of the pandemic. 2 bowlers. And for anybody who doesn't know, not only do I like bowling, I like watching vlogs about bowling. So that's it. Don't say gay. Just people don't even take the 30 seconds to look into things. They say, oh my goodness, this is atrocious. Ron DeSantis is passing a bill that forbids discussion on homosexuality. And they're left with the impression that somehow this bill specifically targets the gay community or specifically targets any one sexual orientation or any group of sexual orientations as opposed to all sexual orientations, which some people might think is absolutely proper and appropriate when you're talking about teaching kids from kindergarten to grade 3 or at any other point in high school in a manner that's age appropriate. Showing naughty videos to grade 6ers, not age appropriate. Also not something a school should be doing.